All right. Welcome back, everybody. First, just normal live stream in a while. I missed last week was live feedback. The two prior weeks were I was gone on vacation. One down south, one up north, and now we're back. All right, and I'm not exactly sure what to do today. I've got some cool little ideas here. So this is from a lesson earlier that I was teaching where I was demonstrating the use of diminished chords and augmented chords. So started off with a very simple, boring, in my opinion, little chord progression. C major, D minor, A minor, G major, C, F, G, and C. And then by just adding a couple little changes, a couple little tweaks, a couple little diminished chords and augmented chords. By adjusting just one note in each of the chords, you get a nice fun little much more fun personality filled progression. And that's one of my favorite things to do is reharmonization. Almost like 9 times out of 10, when I'm writing a new character theme, you guys know this, I start with harmony first, and I'll usually start with a very simple chord progression, something I find inspiring. Something just kind of interesting. And I'll build a melody on top of that, but then I'll usually come back and I'll make adjustments to the harmony. I'll make little tweaks here, little tweaks there, make it more of my own style. I love complex, rich, fun little harmonies. Not complexity for its own sake, but because of the texture, the color, the flavor that it gives your sound, right? So, as per usual, yes, just let me know. What do you want to talk about today? Questions, ideas. Sam Rabbit 1256 says, recently saw both of your melody and harmony playlists. Super thankful. Thank you so much. Wonderful. That's awesome. Glad you can help. Hey, 2389. 23, you changed your name? Yes, happy Detroit time. So, Sam Rabbit, if you found those helpful, I have more. On my website, I have free classes. There's gonna be lots of overlap. The music, the theory and harmony is largely that playlist you just watched, but also filled in with some gaps taken from other videos that weren't part of the soundtrack, or the playlist. I have one on melody, which again is basically that playlist, but with a bunch of videos tossed in to help fill some gaps. Things on counterpoint, things on ostinati, other melodic type layers. Really cool information. All of these are 100% free. And as of last month, we successfully raised the money through fundraisers to fund my cost of living while I work on a brand new 100% free class. All right. The new free class is the mixing class. I will be doing a course on, where is it? Did I not mention that it's, oh yeah, right here. Intro to mixing. All right. A beginner friendly course to help composers make their sound professional. So I've started outlining this. I'm going to start making the tutorial videos and I'll release them on YouTube as standalone tutorials. But then I will also organize all of it and put it as a 100% free class as part of the Academy here on my website with articles, homework assignments, all that stuff to help make it the extra level. So thank you to all of you. So thank you. That is really cool. We raised $3,000. That helps cover my rent. It helps cover my student loan payments. It helps cover my groceries, my gas, all that kind of stuff, so that I can make sure my basic cost of living is covered while I work on the class, which is going to be free, so I won't make any money off of it. And even cooler, we have another month to raise another $3,000 to start the reading and writing music notation class. And we're already halfway there. I've had some ridiculously generous members of the channel reach out, make some wonderful contributions, and we've already raised $1,500. And like the first week, we are still in the first week. We have 3 more weeks in this month. If we raise the other $1,500 by the end of the month, I'll have what I need to dedicate next month to making this class. And then obviously we have one more class after that. We're working towards creating realistic mini mockups. And if these fundraisers keep working, if you guys still keep liking this like model of, hey, pay to help support free education, if this keeps working, I'll keep making classes. I got a list of classes y'all have been requesting. And again, eventually the goal is to like create an entire online class that people can take 100% free. So there are recommended tiers ranging from $10 all the way up to a significant generous $600. We've already had a couple donations in the $600 tier, which has boggled my mind. You can also do custom donations, and again, all of this helps go towards free classes. So you can go to the Academy page. There's 4 of them. Starting next month, the goal is December 1st, is to release the new class by December 1st, but at least sometime in December, a 5th class will be joining, 100% free introduction to mixing. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone who has donated so far. And again, you can find that at tabletopcomposer.com/academy. So Sam Rabbit, if you found those playlists helpful, check out the class versions because there's additional information there that can help fill in some gaps you might have. Bensi, welcome! Thanks for stopping by, Bensi. 23. No, it must be displaying different for some reason. Maybe a new thing YouTube is doing to make it sound easier to find accounts, because that is the best way to find me in the search bar. Ah, all right, so you didn't change your name? All right, yeah, it just says 2389. Weird. Sam Rabbit. Oh, I didn't know. I'll check them out as well. Thank you. Helpful. Glad to be helpful. Ben Fletcher, your connection. My connection's very choppy. All right, so here's what it says: excellent connection, excellent health. Am I buffering? Is that on my end or on your end, Ben? Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not. I've had those issues in the past. Is it like the footage, or is like my phone causing interference? Because that's happened before too with the mic. Anywho, in the meantime, let's just have some fun. All right, I was talking about creating about reharmonization strategies earlier. Let's try just doing a fun one. All right, let's do. This is a sound combination I love. Major 1, a minor 5. Oh, I love that sound. It just sounds grandiose, right? Like, what if we did that on horns? Oh, what's this? I don't think that's the project I'm in. Think I'm in. No, not this one either. Not this one. I've been doing a lot of lessons lately. Where's the one I was just in? Oh, did I just? No, yeah, here we go. This is what I was in. I had too many windows open. Which also super excited. For the normals, not normals, regulars. Sorry, for the regulars on this channel, I have huge news. Huge news. I'm updating Cubase. After this stream, I am finally biting the bullet and just purchasing the upgrade for Cubase 14. I love Cubase 9.5. Cubase 9.5 has been my baby since 2018 when I first started composing. I love this, but I think it's time. I need to make sure, especially now that I'm doing the class on mixing. That's what made me make my decision, is now that I'm doing a class on mixing, I should probably have a more up-to-date DAW. So I will be updating. And for the first time in 6 years, Tabletop will not be working with archaic technology. We'll repeat it. Then let's try an E minor to A minor. We'll do a G major to B diminished. All right, so here's our chord progression. So there's our harmony. All right, I'm gonna create a slight little difference. So for those of you who are new, this is the pattern I used. It's a pattern called sentence structure. It has been around for centuries. It is not cookie cutter. It is not an AI algorithm. It is a technique used by composers since the Baroque period. Bach used this. Mozart used this. Haydn used this. John Williams uses this. It is a very simple strategy that goes A, B, C. It goes, take an idea, repeat your idea, come up with a new idea or a distantly related idea, and then just find a way to end it. A, B, C. This works well for rhythms, it works well for chords, it works well for melodies, it looks well for arrangements. It is one of those patterns that just seems to be intrinsic to our understanding of music in general. So here we have my chord progression following sentence structure. I don't like the G minor to E minor. That sounds funky to me. I mean, it sounds nice, but it's a little too dramatic. So what if we did an E diminished? So then we could do... And then we could do some better voice leading. And then here's our chord progression. I kind of like the sus chord, actually. I played that by accident. So let's keep going. I want to find something I like instead of just doing something random like I always do. I want this to sound good. Let's see here. 23 says, I'm running me on a TV. That's awesome. Not sure we'll reload and check. Cubase 15, actually, Cubase 15 just came out. When? Like yesterday? Because literally, I was checking like I am so glad I didn't buy it 2 days ago. Okay, when did Cubase 15 come out? I am so glad. Do you know how mad I would have been if I bought Cubase 14 like 2 days ago and then 15 came out? Oh, that would have pissed me off. But it would have been like poetically sound. That the very first time I get caught up on technology, I'm immediately outdated. No, I don't like that diminished either. What should we do? What if we just continued? And instead of doing sentence structure, we did what's called an absolute progression. And just repeat the same idea over and over again until we come to a conclusion. Let's do... I like that. That sounds dramatic AF. Let's do G major. And then the G major to C major works really, really well. I feel like I want some choir. Let's find a choir, shall we? What kind of choir do I want, though? No, let's do Musio. Wait, my Musio libraries haven't been reloaded since my SSD crashed. My SSD crashed, by the way. And I had to buy a new one because it didn't crash. The old SSD is still good. That's the thing that pisses me off. It's still good, just a little plastic little locking mechanism on it snapped somehow while it was inside my computer. And so now the connection isn't good. And so now the it just needs a new case, which is going to involve cracking the old one open, putting it in the new case, soldering it back together again. And so it's going to take a while. And so I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'm going to just, what if we did horns instead? Let's see here. Sam Rabbit, this might be a dumb question, but I'm kind of confused on this. So when we compose a stand-alone song based on the ideas in our head versus when we compose a song with context, like for a game or movie, does our approach to composition change when we create a standalone song? Yes and no. The techniques you'll use are going to probably be about the same. You'll still come up with a chord progression. You'll still come up with the melody. You'll still make sure that it's arranged properly. The biggest difference is the source of inspiration. As a standalone piece of music, if you don't have anything in particular, like for example, this right here is a standalone. It's not inspired by anything. This is, for all intents and purposes, an academic exercise. It's missing a crucial step. Even though all I've done is come up with a chord progression at this point, it's still missing a very crucial step. That would be required for what we call programmatic music, or music that tells a story, that has a specific story in mind. And that step is figuring out how you want to represent your idea. All right, so step number 1 to all programmatic music. Programmatic music, again, being music that follows a program, tells a story, invokes a character, an emotion, whatever you're going for, is figure out your source of inspiration. All right, so example, if you're writing a character theme, start, can't type today, by studying your character. For characters, I have a textbook that you can check out all about that goes very in depth on this. But as a useful starting point, I recommend for characters figuring out the character arc. All right, how does the character change from the beginning to the end of the story? All right, try to describe the character as best as you can at the beginning. How do you describe them at the end? How do they change? The big 3 changes are goals. How do the things they want change, if at all? Weakness. In what ways do their beliefs or behavior harm / hold back themselves or others? All right, every character has a weakness. And then there's a need. What do they need to learn / realize in order to become their best self? Do they ever learn that? Every character has a need. Every character has a need that they need to learn or realize if they are to become their best version. Not all characters realize it. Not all the characters learn that. Many characters fail to achieve their need. That's how we can see them actually get actively worse. Michael Corleone from The Godfather is an example. Walter White from Breaking Bad is an example of a character who has a need. He needs to get over his pride. He needs to give over his ego, his need to be the best at whatever he does, to be the smartest person in the room. He never gets over that need. And that's how we see his refusal to get over it, to grow. His refusal to grow in a positive direction actually makes him a worse and worse and worse character all the way through the stories. It still makes for really cool stories. But this is what I would start with the minimum. Study this about your characters. Learn these questions about your character. How is your character different by the end of the story? These 3 are big ones: goals, weakness, and needs. There are lots of others that you can study. Again, check out my textbook. It's available on my website. And physical copies are available on Amazon. But this is more than enough to get you started. I even have a video. Let's see here. Tabletop composer, character themes. Y'all, I have been doing this YouTube thing for so long. I've done so many videos. You can very often... Hold up. Oh no, for a minute I thought Oh, it is based on me. Aha, that's funny. I was wondering if the AI was using my material. That makes me both pissed off and makes me smile at the same time. So I've got blog posts. This video right here is the one I was looking for. How to compose impactful character themes. It's about a half-hour masterclass taken straight from my book. So that'll get you started. Check out the book too. There's a lot of cool information in there. Every purchase helps support the Academy. Every purchase helps support me and paying my bills and all that kind of cool stuff. So answer these, and once you have that understanding of your character, quick sip. It's a simple matter of just brainstorming strategies for portraying that. I like to champion something I call the 9 parameters approach. This is my personal approach to composing and transforming stories. Again, I go in much more depth in it in my book, but there are 9 parameters that combine to create music. There is some overlap between them. There is tempo, there is timbre, texture, rhythm, register, harmony, dynamics. Do I have one that I repeated? Tempo, timbre, texture, rhythm, register, harmony, dynamics. I skipped a number. I skipped the number 4. I was gonna say, I know I'm missing melody. And also articulation. I'm stupid. It's okay. Stupid isn't a crime, even though it hurts sometimes. 9 parameters. I would then go, all right, I've described my character. I know my character super well. I am an expert on my character. What can I think of for tempo? How can I use tempo? Things like time signature. So things like time signature, BPM, pulse. Pulse being your average note value compared to the BPM. Or pulse being the groupings of your beats. Is it duple, triple? There's multiple definitions. Timbre. Instrument choice. Playing techniques. Styles / genres. How can those be used? Texture. The number and types of layers used in your music. So melodies, counter melodies, chords, rhythms, ostinati, sound effects, stuff like that. Melody, tunes, motifs, melodic ideas. How can these all be used to portray your character? Rhythm, average note values, specific rhythmic ideas, like the clave rhythm, syncopation, types of meter, etc. Register, octaves, upper register, lower register, etc. How can all of these, we'll say number of octaves. How can these be used to portray your character? Harmony, chord types, scale types, keys, types of harmony, functional versus non-functional. So functional harmony being a very traditional approach where chords have their relationships and form patterns based off how they relate to the tonic. So you might get like a 1, oops. So you might get like a very stereotypical 1, 4, 5, 1. Oops, sorry, I smacked my mic. That's a type of functional harmony versus non-functional, which doesn't care about keys, doesn't care about scales. It goes, okay, cool, I like that sound. I like that sound. So my favorite form of non-functional harmony is something called Neo-Riemannian harmony, which doesn't focus on scales or chords. It focuses on chord couplings. You go, I like that chord coupling. That chord coupling is really cool. I'm going to use that chord coupling. Then I'm going to use a different chord coupling. Doesn't matter what scale it's taken from or what key they belong to. I don't care about that. I just care about the combos of chords and the patterns I can form with them. It's my favorite type of harmony at the moment. It's the type I tend to work with the most frequently. Dynamics. How can volume, number of instruments, accents, hits, etc. all be used to tell a story? Crescendos, decrescendos, so fade in and fade out. Am I spelled? Etc. And articulation. What types of playing styles, articulations, etc. can be used? So you would brainstorm. I know my character super well. I'm going to brainstorm each of these. You might not come up with ideas for each one. That's okay. You don't need to come up with ideas for each one. The idea is just to come up with ideas, to build momentum. Come up with cool ideas, come up with things that get you excited, come up with things that help you get started, and you build momentum. So that is the number one difference. If you are not doing a character theme, if you are not writing programmatic music, if you are doing an academic exercise, you can skip this step. You just need to write something that functions, focus on music theory, focus on something that you're supposed to be learning or applying, and work from there. But this is the number one step to every single project I work on. Let's see, questions. So hopefully that helps. Custom voice arts. Hi, Tabletop. Can you explain Tintinnabuli? From what I understand, it uses voice, an M voice, and a melodic voice. The M voice being a triad and the melodic voice being a scale. I'm going to be honest, Custom Voice Arts, I have no idea what Tintinnabuli is. I apologize. I've never heard of it. Now I'm curious. I'm going to open up another tab. I'm going to what is this? Compositional style developed from the Estonian composer Arvo Pärt in 1976, characterized by its simple, strict, and spiritual sound. Finds two distinct melodic lines, a melodic voice, M voice, that moves by step, and a Tintinnabuli voice, T voice, that only uses notes from a central tonic triad, creating a bell-like resonance. This technique was heavily influenced by Pärt's study of medieval music and his conversion to the Orthodox Christianity. That sounds fascinating. I'm gonna write this down. So, custom voice arts, I cannot, unfortunately, break this down to you right now. I don't understand this. I've never heard of it. But this actually sounds like it might very well be a very appropriate technique for my latest commission, which has to do with spiritual music. So thank you. I'm going to study that actually in depth. I'm going to unleash my neurodivergent fixation powers. I'm going to study that. I'm going to master it. And in a couple of weeks, I'll give you an answer. All right. So keep coming back to the live streams. Don't forget to like the stream, people. So I apologize. I'm sorry I had to disappoint. Custom Voice Arts. Give me some time and I'll be able to give you an answer. Sam Rabbit, that cleared my confusion. Thanks for the explanation. Awesome. Happy to help. Epic Fish, welcome, my friend. 23. Okay, now the stream is being jumpy for me every 30 seconds or more. That's weird. I'll probably stop now that I said that, though. Custom Voice Arts, no problem. I'm trying to understand it myself. Awesome. Thank you. Hi, Shiki. Shiki here. Love from Africa. Welcome, my friend. Do you review Afrobeats music? I review all kinds of music. I'm not an expert in Afrobeats, but I can always give my perspective. Every Friday, any type of music you want to submit, I will listen to it with an open ear, and I will give my honest feedback on what I know from my perspective. So, not an expert, but I can give some thoughts. Hey, Shiki, can you send me one? Yes. So, for feedback, I provide live feedback every month. The very last stream of each month is a free live feedback stream. The best way to submit this music is to follow my YouTube channel, click the bell so that you get notifications, and or follow my Instagram and again enable notifications, because the final week leading up to it, submissions are open the week leading up to it. All right, so I do have requirements. Music must be less than 4 minutes long. People have submitted longer pieces in the past, depending on how many submissions I get. If I get a bunch of submissions and you went over the 4 minutes longer, you're cut. I'm sorry, I can't do it. If there are fewer people who submit, I'll listen to it, but I'll only listen to the first 4 minutes. Or if you have like a super long piece and you have a specific 4 minutes, you can mention that too. But just making sure that you follow instructions. So music has less than 4 minutes, must share as either a YouTube video or a SoundCloud link. I do not accept any other formats. I'm sorry. Just to keep things simple for the live stream. And you must provide a specific ask. All right. This is because this is live. I need something to focus my thoughts on while I listen to it just the first time, because I only really listened to these once. So you need to ask me something specific that you want feedback on. Like, hey, can you pay attention? Like the climax at like 1 minute 28 seconds doesn't hit the way I want to. It feels small. Can you tell me why? Or my melody doesn't feel catchy. Can you explain why? Or I shared this with my friends and they all said it sounded muddy or chaotic. Can you give me your feedback? Stuff like that. So you must provide a specific ask. Share it as YouTube video or SoundCloud. Must be less than 4 minutes long. Other than that, share it. The last one's going to be the 28th. Oh, wait, hold up. 27th is Thanksgiving. It'll be 28th. 28th is when my next stream will be for live feedback, which means I will start accepting submissions the 23rd, the Sunday beforehand. So mark your calendar, set an alarm, send it to my email, or send it to me a message in Instagram or Discord. And yeah, I love listening to feedback. Every last Friday of each month. Glad it's better. 23. 23. I really appreciated your feedback on the last stream. The spread chord voicing tip was spot on. What I could have used to give it more raw emotion, like the noir style, always benefit from. Yes, I'm actually going to get to that in a moment. Can you give any advice for planning a custom structure for the piece? Oh, yeah, just follow your story. Figure out your story. Share. What scenes / beats do you need to share? So like what scenes you need to show, what moments in the story need to happen. Figure out how many themes you need to tell your story. Organize them by section based on the story. All right, it's as simple as that. I actually have a video on that. Again, tabletop composer, structure, my name, look up the word. Not that one. That's a good one, though. That's a good one. This one, phrase structure. And no, not this one. It's the next one, form. So let's try form. It's part 4, same playlist, melodies for composers. Form and structure. Part 4, turning melodic ideas into full-length piece of music. This video right here will give you some good ideas. So what 23 was talking about earlier, was talking about feedback I provided on open voice technique. So let's actually go through some different techniques you can use to give your chords an interesting color. All right. Number 1, right off the bat, is open voicings. So here, let's get the horns going. Here we have our original sound. Let's get the horns going. Very cool sound. We can make it even cooler by just taking the middle voice and dropping it an octave or raising an octave. This will be a little less expressive because I'm not going to be able to play this. My keyboard is very tiny. I have a tiny little keyboard. It's an Alesis Q25. It's like about as big as my head, actually. I'm just realizing that. Wow. No, that can't possibly be right. All right, so it's bigger than my head. That makes me feel better. I thought I had a massive head for a second. But no, yeah. It's a small little keyboard, 25 keys. And I just keep it on my desk. I have a full-size keyboard in the desk behind me, or the closet behind me. It takes up a lot of space, though, and I only really bring it out when I have a project that I'm working on. I need a full keyboard. Anywho, I'm getting on a tangent. Let's listen to this. In fact, it's going to sound better with strings. So let's do strings. Session horns, hide that because I haven't re-downloaded it. This one I have. I have downloaded this, all right? I have found this one multiple times. No, wrong one. Oh, yeah, this one. I'll be in one library. There we go. Strings. Let's do this. Happy to help, Epic Fish. So if you're just joining, what we're doing now is we're just kind of messing around, answering questions. I'm demonstrating some cool concepts, cool little ways to create, to like adjust your chord progressions. Easiest one. Let's just record this. Actually, let's record this so we have a nice unified sound. That was anticlimactic. I want sustained. Let's raise this entire thing. All right. So let's go back. So, very rubato. Rubato meaning a term that just states, yeah, we're not following a strict tempo. We're just following the feel. There's a general tempo. We could find a general tempo for this. But for the most part, we're just following, like, just like relatively slow and just kind of feel it out. If you guys want a trick for creating rubato tempos in a DAW, I can do that in a moment too. But right now, what we're going to do is we just heard that. First little tip for making your chords sound more lush is to go from closed voicings to open voicings. And by open that, we mean we just open up the chords a little bit. Highlight the middle voice and either raise it an octave or lower it an octave. Given that these are strings, I'm going to raise it an octave because that would work well for their range. Instantly. A little more emotional. They take up more space. And because they take up more space, they feel bigger. And because the music feels bigger, the emotion feels bigger. Because emotion in music is no big mystery. I don't know why composers and musicians think it's a mystery. It's because I come from a background in psychology. I went to grad school to be a therapist, and then I'm a composer for some reason. And in psychology, we've understood emotions in music for decades. Like, it's not a mystery. Emotions in music happen because emotions in music can be described using the same basic things. Emotions can be described using three things: valence, size, and energy. Valence means, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how dark or bright is your emotion? Not a strict 1 to 10, but like on a spectrum. Is it really dark? Is it really bright? Is it somewhere in the middle? Size refers to how overwhelming it is. If someone compliments your haircut, you're going to be in a good spirit. But if you win the Mega Billions lottery, you're going to be like ecstatic. You're going to be smashing your desk at work, whatever, because you can pay for it now. So you can see that emotions have varying levels of how overwhelming they are, how big they feel. And they also have the third one, movement. Energy. Some emotions are energizing. You get energy from being happy. You get robbed of energy from being sad. Some emotions are physically expressive. When you're excited, you hop up and down, you dance, you like rub your hands together, whatever. When you're depressed, you kind of slump over and you don't want to do anything. All right. So because emotions can be described on valence, size, and movement or energy, so can music. Music can be described as bright or dark. Music can be described as big or small, and it can be described as high energy, high movement, and low energy, low movement. And so, generally speaking, for the emotions, the bigger the music, the bigger the emotional impact. There are exceptions, of course, always. But for the most part, it's a good little rule to follow. And we'll do, let's put in a bass line. So we heard, and to demonstrate that with the size, let's listen to it again, one more time, by itself. Just the triad. Now let's try raising it, opening the chord, so that the whole thing takes up more space. Suddenly, it's going to feel larger. Right? Oh, I love this stuff. Now watch this. Watch what happens when we go even bigger. And we just add a bass line. That's all we're gonna do. We're gonna add a bass line to this little beautiful mess. Subtle, but still deliciously bigger, subtly bigger, more impactful, right? Beautiful. It's incredible. It's wonderful. It makes me excited. This is what I love about music, is just the impact of like how it can share stories and emotions. Anywho, where are we at? Really? No more comments? Really? I would have thought for sure I would have gotten more comments and more questions there. Awesome. Well, thank you. Maybe I had you guys captivated. I'm hoping that's what it was. Let's try this. What else should we do? Should I do a demonstration of movement? How would I do a demonstration of movement? Because movement has to do with how energizing the emotion, how physically expressive this is. So this to me doesn't feel like a physically expressive vibe. This feels more like a, I don't know, it feels like more like a majestic, like a mysterious majesty kind of sound, a fantasy vibe. Hungry bee. Yep. All right, good. Glad that helped. Let's see here. Any other questions? What do you guys want to do? Should we try demonstrating a different emotion, the impact of valence? Should we try demonstrating the impact of energy? Do you guys have other questions? Do you want to see other cool tricks for making doing more with the same chord progression? We could do bass lines. Bass lines are always really fun. Let's record a bass line for this real quick. So got it in root position again. Feel like I want to change that. Let's chop that. And you know what? Let's just delete these in general. I want to re-record this last little bit. There we go. So we've got a bass line now. Hungry bee, I'd be interested to see what you can do with rhythm to convey emotion. Excellent. Wonderful idea. Ow, I just clipped my mic. Sorry about that. Let's come up with a new emotion, shall we? Because this one, in rhythm and emotion. Rhythm in emotion, like I said, those three things. In fact, let's write these down. Those three things in music that convey and portray emotion: valence, size, energy / movement. As you can see, rhythm plays a very big part in energy and movement. It can play a role in like valence and size to a lesser degree, but it's the big one. The big one is movement, obviously. So let's write a sad progression. Because I got told, so I was told, like, apparently this comes as a shock to some people, because I usually write like really funky, fun pieces on the live streams. I've been very much typecast as a depressing composer. Every project I work on is because someone hears this really sad music that I wrote, and they're like, oh, it's so beautiful. We want that kind of sadness, which is cool. It keeps me working. But I mean, I had one project. I had like one of my more recent ones where it was a dance troupe that I got hired to score things. I got hired. I took the job because they offered me the opportunity to score a rom-com style thing. I had to do 2 short stories for it. One was about existential crisis on loneliness. I had to do a piece of music about what it's like to be lonely, surrounded by a sea of people. All right, which that messed me up, not gonna lie, because one of my students described my method as like a method acting for composers, which is kind of accurate. I get into the headspace of the emotion I'm trying to portray, and then I write it. So, spending weeks studying loneliness, I came up with a beautiful piece of music. Honestly, one of my favorite pieces I've ever written. But it was too good because the director and the choreographer got so excited about it that when I took the job for the rom-com, for the opportunity to do something lighthearted and happy, because my previous one had been all about like suicidality, survivor's guilt, and really heavy material. I wanted something light. I wrote the sad, isolated, lonely piece first, and then they liked it too much, so they decided instead of a rom-com, they wanted me write a piece about 2 people falling out of love, which was just awful. It was so depressing. Still a fun piece to write, but no. So I just get typecast as like a sad composer. All that to say, let's do a sad piece. Let's just do the same thing. Same basic idea. Absolute progression. Absolute progressions say you come up with a simple idea, a chord progression, A minor to E minor, and you just repeat it. In with different inversions to keep it interesting. Let's do, so A minor. We won't do an absolute. Let's do sentence structure. Let's do, I like the E minor to F major. Again, the mic is placed very inconveniently for me right now. So let's we'll do F major, A minor, E minor, A minor, E minor, F major, G major, then I like G major, let's see G major, B diminished, and A minor. So here we have a very simple, sad progression. Let's do it. Let's add the, let's play this in, because it's always more emotional. We'll raise it an octave. It's always more emotional when you play it in. So again, going a little more rubato, meaning I'm not paying attention to the tempo exactly. In fact, if you wanted to do this and you're like, all right, let's bring this all in. Let's copy and paste this directly. Let's cut this. If you wanted to do a rubato tempo, you're like, you played it in and you wanted it, but you still wanted to line up on the grid. You played it in, go here to MIDI, go to functions, go to merge tempo from tapping, say that you played a chord, 1 chord per bar, hit tempo out of range. Let's see here. Let's add a tempo track. Let's do merge tempo from tapping. Tempo out of range. I have never once in my life gotten that message. What does that mean? Let's do this. What does that mean? MIDI functions, merge tempo from tapping, 1 per bar, begin at bar start. Tempo out of range. What does that mean? Do I have a range that I've set? Let's try cranking up the range a bit. All right, let's crank it up, crank it down. Let's try that. see here. Merge tempo from tapping. I don't know what that means. I have never in my life gotten that. What it was supposed to do was supposed to stretch. You know what? Let's do it manually. Screw it. I'll do it myself. Beat. Let's set it to events. Let's open in here. And I'm just going to drag the start of each bar to the start of the chords. Oh, you know what? I think I know what happened. All right. Because it's got too many notes. Now, MIDI, functions, merge tempo from tapping. Boom, there we go. So that was the issue. Now, what? Still? It didn't snap anything. It's supposed to be, okay, whatever. Now we can take this whole thing and we can quantize it to the beat. And you can watch how the tempo down here changes to match my rubato performance. All staying roughly around the same tempo. Let's re-record with the bass line. I'm sorry, I am taking way too long to answer your question and do a demonstration. I hope this is helpful information at least. This is the joys of having ADHD as severely as I do. I get very, very off track real easy. What's going on here? Am I not? Oh, it's going on a tempo track. Let's start over. My bad. Apologize, people. Here we go. Bear with me. Okay, what's going on? Let's see. I am just terrible at playing on it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna copy and paste the bass line. Drop it an octave. A little more than an octave. And now I'm going to stretch everything. Quantize ends. There we go. Don't need the sustain anymore. All right. Now we're going to get to the question that Hungry Hungry Bee had. I'd be interested to see what you can do with rhythm to convey emotion. So, we have our sad idea. As I mentioned, emotions in music come to three all-important things. Valence, which is the degree to how dark or bright an emotion is. Size is the level of how overwhelming an emotion is. And energy and movement equals how physically expressive an emotion is. Like, do you get up and dance? Do you slump over? Like, basically, how easy is it to tell that someone is experiencing this motion based off their body language? You asked specifically about rhythm. Rhythm falls very neatly into energy and movement. So if we think about sadness, a type of sadness, we could add more energy, more movement, making it more of an anxiety, like an anxious, a little more of a panic, a worry, by adding just a little bit of rhythm. And we can make it a lopsided rhythm too. So triplet, dot. Triplet, ba. Da-ba da da ba da ba. Da-ba da ba ba da ba. And then all we're gonna do is we'll make an arpeggio. I'll actually bring... And so we'll listen to this now. Just a little bit more energy. And I got lazy and didn't continue the arpeggio. So let's actually get rid of the arpeggio for all these. And let's raise these an octave. So you can hear without, and this is such a subtle change. It's not even crazy. Simple sadness. From the top, just tiny little change. Just a minute little bit of rhythm. You can already hear it's a subtle shift in the emotion. And then watch what happens if we increase that even more. And this time, we're going to chop everything in this second voice into eighth notes. So we've got even more movement now. It's still subtle, still a small change, but you're going to hear how the energy starts to come up. It starts to feel a little more panicky, a little more high energy, because it's still dark. It's still dark. It's still intimate. So it's still the same kind of fundamental sadness, but now we're changing. We're making it a little more chaotic with a little more energy. See how that works? And now watch what happens if we take this entire thing and then we make it big at the end. All right, so we'll take this, we'll keep the energy flowing. We'll take all of it and we're gonna make it a little random. We're gonna randomize the velocity slightly. And then all we're gonna do is in this transition, we're gonna gradually start increasing the velocity so it gets louder, so it gets heavier. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna make it feel a little bit bigger. This is my specialty, people. This is what I do, is I have mastered emotions in music. This is what I get hired for. Not to brag. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely bragging. But this is what I've spent thousands of hours pouring my life into. This is what I specialize in. This is what I went to grad school for therapy and emotions. And rather than being a good little therapist, opening a private practice and all that kind of stuff, I went into music. So I should hopefully be getting something out of my therapy background. So what we're doing is we're building the size so it feels even bigger. And I'm not even changing anything massive. It's the same chord progression. It's the same basic idea. So anyone who tells you that emotions is in the chords is only partially correct. I am using the same silly, simple little chord progression to create an emotional journey. And we'll grade this up. We'll bring this up an octave. All right, watch this. We'll bring this up. We'll start building up into a higher register and watch. Same chord progression. Just gonna be gradually more intense, gradually more emotional with minimal changes. Starts building. Such simple changes. And yeah, it's not dramatic, but you feel it. let's see how much further we can make this go. Let's try creating an arpeggio. It's an A minor, right? Yep. This was, yeah, the B major. This is the B minor. All right, we got that going on. And yeah, we'll just leave this. Like I said, tiny little changes. But everything done with those 3 elements in mind. And only those 3 elements. And we can even make this more dramatic. Watch this, watch this. We'll remove these for the first couple. We'll remove these, actually. We'll make the build seem even more gradual. Watch this. So we'll hear the first chords twice by themselves. And then we'll hear them with a bass line. And then we'll hear the rhythm start building in. Yeah, so watch. Again, paying attention. Same chord progression. Did not change the chord progression. All I did is, as I go on, I started increasing the size, increasing the amount of energy. Same valence, same level of darkness, but you can see how just size and energy. People get so caught up on valence. People think emotion is in the chords. Yes, chords have some of the emotion. People think the emotion is in the melody. Yes, it has some of the emotion, but really, the nuance, the impact, the goosebumps, they all come from size and movement. If you can master that concept, you will master emotions in music. And on that note, you boys gotta eat. So, check it out. I have a class on emotions and music where you learn all of this and more. The class comes with 3 private lessons. You get added into the new class I am very slowly building, so I'm sorry for people who are in the beta testing and waiting for the next module. I built the 4th module, and then my SSD crashed that I mentioned earlier, and I lost all the videos I had made for it. So now I'm rebuilding it again. So I apologize for the wait. And if you don't want the full class, I do have a book version. All of this, I am going to say it. I've said it before, I'm saying it now, and I might get humbled someday, but I believe I am the foremost expert on YouTube about emotions and music. I went to school to be a therapist. I am a professional composer. To my knowledge, I am one of the very few people in the world who bridge both of those worlds to this degree. But let's listen to it. It starts building. I still feel like this could hit harder. Just a small little turn, same as a chord progression. You guys want to see an actual application from an actual soundtrack I composed? Let's do this. This was the very first play I ever worked on. The first one I ever worked on professionally, and it was recently performed by Central Michigan University. They paid for the rights, they performed the piece, and I was not in town. This is an example of a piece of music I composed that applied these methods before I even realized that. It took me a while to make this connection, because the model, valence, size, and energy comes from a very specific psychometric tool called the circumplex model of effect. It took me a while to actually apply that to music, but even then, I was writing music following those basic principles. In fact, all composers that write emotional music follow these basic principles, even if they're not aware of them. So watch how I manipulate size and movement. The valence stays roughly the same, dark, but watch how I go from like this music captures a musician who's kind of improvising. She's dealing with a terminal illness that she just received a diagnosis for. So she's dealing with her own mortality. So watch how the music goes from numb kind of disbelief to just collapsing and crying on the keyboard. And all of it done with size and movement. And then after this, unless there are other questions, I keep clipping the mic, I apologize. After that, if there are any questions, I will answer them, but we're probably going to be calling it an end of the stream soon. Like the stream. Characters subbed over on the keyboard. She's crying. And before anyone comes at me and says this is not a performable piece, it very much is a performable piece. I have had this piece performed live before. Granted, it was by a professional pianist and not an actor, but it is playable. I go through great pains to make sure that all the music I perform for production are physically playable by the musicians. Thank you, Soften. Glad you liked it. All right. Any last minute questions? Well, you guys come up with any questions, if there are any. I'm going to do a last minute little train of thought. My workload is filling up. I have 2 more spots. I have room for 2 more students. If you want to sign up for ongoing mentorship, the single lessons I accept here and there, but in terms of like the ongoing mentorship where you commit to a routine, regular meeting, usually twice, up to 2 or 4 times a month, ongoing lessons, I've got 2 more spots that I can open for those. So grab those before they close. And don't forget, free education on the Academy page on my website. 4 free classes. Thanks to the supremely generous support of you guys. There's a 5th class coming. We successfully raised money to unlock Intro to Mixing last month, and we're already, and the fundraiser for this month is already halfway to its $3,000 goal. That $3,000 helps support my cost of living while I create the new free classes. Outside of, I always had the donation as an option, but in the 3 years of having this academy up, I'd only ever gotten like $7 total in donation. And so I thought, let's try an proactive approach. The active fundraiser has been responded with an overwhelming response. So thank you guys. Providing the free education is a huge passion for me. I was forced to drop out of music school because I couldn't afford it. I felt like my dreams were crashing all around me. And so now that I actually am in a position where I can teach, where I get to do what I love for a living, I'm trying to take down those blocks for as many other people as I possibly can. So $3,000 pays for my monthly student loan payments, for my bills, for my rent, for my groceries, for my gas, so your boy can eat, sleep, and not worry about getting evicted. So that we raised that successfully, I can now dedicate a month of my time to creating a free resource that I will not get any other money for. And we are raising another $3,000, so $6,000 total, to this month in November to create a class on reading and writing music notation, so you can write sheet music for your projects. And like I said, already halfway there. First week, we're already halfway there. So go donate. There's recommended tiers, custom donations, purchases made in the bookshop also go towards the Academy as well. Soften, how much is mentorship? It's $180 a month for twice a month lessons, and then it is $320 for weekly lessons. So significantly cheaper than a semester in even a community college. which you would be spending about $1,500 in the same span that you would spend $900 working with me. They are so like the weekly has I think like a 15%, 10 or 15% discount compared to the paying for lessons one at a time or the twice monthly. Everybody has their own thing. I've got one student who works with me weekly. I'm teaching them how to use synthesizers to write hip hop music. I have another student who's working with me, and they just like having a live Q&A, like a personal Q&A every other week, where I meet with him and we have lesson plans figured out, but it's almost always just like, yeah, I've got a list of questions I've come up with while I'm working on a piece, and I want you to help with it. And I have another student who just had the first lesson today. Awesome guy. Where we're going through my textbook one chapter at a time, where we just meet and we talk. He's reading my textbook, and when we meet every other week, we're going through a couple chapters together. I'm answering questions. He comes up with ideas. I bounce them off with him. I help him develop them, and it's just a lot of fun. It's kind of like getting a live stream, but you get to be on the stream with me. We get to chat. We get to like interact with me in real time. I have wonderful, wonderful reviews from my students. I actually have worked with students across 6 continents. I had an awesome opportunity to meet with the chair of the composition department at the University of Michigan. Incredible, incredible person. And why is my private lessons page not refreshing? And he was looking over my CV because I was considering going into grad school. And that was one thing where he said, he looked at the number of students I've had well over 100 private students in my time. And I've had students spanning 6 different continents, who knows how many time zones. And he looked at me, he's like, you realize like we have faculty members that don't have this level of experience with private instruction for composing. And that was just a huge, like that was very validating for me. As someone with a non-traditional background, to have like an actual like high level professional, what is wrong with my website? Hopefully this is because it's getting crashed for just a crap ton of people checking it out. That's unfortunate. But yeah, I had him, basically, he thinks I'm awesome. I love chatting with him. And that was very validating for him to say that I have more experience with one-to-one education than some of the most highly decorated faculty members in one of the most highly decorated compositional departments in the world. Oh, awesome. So Hungry Hungry Bee say it works well. Terminology, 630, the weekly package. Is that once a week? Yes. So the $320 per month, that is weekly lessons. We pick a time that works for both of us. I reserve that, and every single week, as long as you're available, we meet for that time. If we need to reschedule, we can reschedule on occasion. But yeah, it's just we meet once a week, get on the camera for an hour, we chat with each other, we talk about what you ever want to talk about, we do a lesson if you want. And everyone's teaching style is different. I have people who really respond well to just like lectures. They like a lecture and they like to raise their hand and ask questions. I've done that. I have people who really appreciate the Q&A format. I like the Q&A format myself, where we show up with a loose plan of what we want to talk about, but then it's just an open conversation about whatever you want to talk about. So yeah, like I said, I've got space in my schedule for 2 more people. So first come, first serve. And I think that's it. Thank you, everybody. This was a lot of fun for me. I really enjoyed this live stream. Who was it that gave me the challenge? It was Hungry Hungry Bee. Was that you? Okay, no, someone says, no, yeah, Hungry Hungry Bee. Hungry Hungry Bee said, I'd be interested to see what you can do with rhythm to convey emotion. I appreciate that question. That was a lot of fun. It gave me a chance to expand my methods to demonstrate the impact that you can have on emotion beyond harmony. Because harmony, it's not overrated, but it's overemphasized. Way too many people think harmony is emotion in music. It's not. It's a very strong but small portion of emotion music. Emotion music is so much more beautiful and complex than that. But awesome. Thank you to everybody who stopped by. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll be live again next week. All right, so I'll see you then. All right, have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.